Yeah, a prolapsed anus is a different thing from a hernia, Chad.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
But hold on. There is a thing, and I'm hating them having to Google this.
Oh, God.
I'm trying to be careful with it, but like when Chad was young high school athlete Chad, football playing, all-state Chad.
I know, and you have a lot of expertise. You started young. You're a pro athlete. I get it. I'll say this much. Young men who lift weights are the least reliable people to listen to for scientific or physiological advice. I will tell you that much. They are bulldozers of testosterone that barrel their way into strength. They do not have any sort of scientific backing for their gains.
Oh, I gotta say, this is so hard to find because I'm finding so much bad fetish stuff that I'm not into, trying to find proof of. I need to clarify what I was told.
Okay.
That if you're weightlifting and you're not wearing, like, I think the part of
the belt,
the belts are for that. It's like to keep your like muscles and insides like tight, but you were worn all the time. Like, you gotta be careful when you're lifting because you might have the equivalent of a hernia, like a massive hernia, and it'll push all of your organs out through your butthole. And they'd show you photos. They'd show you like crime photos of like, this happened to this guy.
I think, Chad, you got scared straight.
Am I going to watch a video right now called Weightlifting Bench Press Fall Accidents Intestines Fall Out Bloopers Compilation? Yes.
Do not do it. Please do not do it. For the love of Jack Archer, do not do it.
Oh, God. Oh, okay. Like, it's something. At some point, your muscles can be too strong and too big inside you. And then instead of pushing outwards, they just go, everything inside comes out of the body right now.
Chad, why do you want to live in a world where that's true and not in a world where Paul knows what he's talking about?
Wouldn't you rather be aware of it so it doesn't happen to you?
He's right. It's just like how Nickelodeon warned us about Inside Out kid who went around the pole of the swing set and turned inside out. It was a good warning. You don't remember Inside Out, kid?
Oh, sorry, what? Not the Pixar Inside Out kid. What?
The Inside Out kid. He went around. He swung around the jungle gym a full time on the swing, and it turned his body inside out, and then his insides of his body were on the outside.
I don't even understand how the physics of that would work.
Well, he went all the way around the swing set, Chad. What are you not getting?
Chad, it's an incredible achievement. Do you not understand what this child did?
No. Okay, so if you get pushed on the swing and you go all the way up, at some point when you hit 180 degrees high, your body just inverts.
I believe Swing Set Kid pulled himself up by his bootstraps and just went around the swing set. I don't think he was pushed around the swing set.
You have to do it yourself. You can't have help with that.
No.
The body knows.
You wouldn't be strong enough to withstand the inside-out forces if somebody pushed you. You need the integrity.
Like, sure. Well, also, you don't want anyone else's guilt over what's going to happen to you.
Right.
This is like the mad scientist equivalent of like, I'm going to experiment on myself so no one else gets hurt.
All of the children who tried to do it with friends died, for sure. Speaking of children of dying, I had an idea for this since this is the only part 2 of a book that we were ever going to get in Goosebumps history, right? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, there could be a future one, but as far
Arlo might try a new one.
Yeah. As far as we know, this is the only time that we'll ever get a part 2. And I was thinking about it. We're going into this book, right, with a little bit of knowledge. We know who the kid is. We know what happened to them in the last book. We know where their life situation is at right now. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to make a wish of what we would love to see happen in this book before we read it?
And I said, Paul, that's a wonderful sentiment. I think wishes in general are good. It's nice to have expectations. It's nice to be a bit of a literary scientist about this and make a hypothesis and see it tested in the lab that is RL's work.
This is what science is.
In RL's mind lab.
Yeah.
But you read the book before you...
I read the book before you told me to make a wish about it.
Before I proposed the wish.
I don't have a true, pure unicorn wish for this, so you guys might have to carry me a little on this. Chad, please lead the class in a wish.
Okay, so I bow my head.
Yeah. And
the wish that I made before I read this Bodysqueezers Part 2.
Yeah.
This is such a strange format. It was that Mr. Fleshman, our special effects agent, would make such a realistic and believable evil antagonist alien that it would scare the Bodysqueezers away.
Ooh, that's a good wish. That would have been a great ending. It didn't happen. We're just going to say that right up.
Would have made a fake out. Would have been the way, Wile E. Coyote makes a fake road for the Roadrunner. Some sort of thing like that where the alien's like, oh my God, it's so scary. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, he'd make like a scarier alien, and then that would scare the aliens. That would be very RL too. Is like there's always a scarier alien.
A scarelian, if you will.
But then it would end with everyone would be like, wow, Mr. Fleshman, that was the scariest alien we've ever seen. You were great. He'd be like, that's not the alien I made.
I think reading these books has made me so jaded to that type of ending that I just see them coming, and all I do is I think about them now.
My wish was that Jack Archer becomes best friends with the Body Snatcher before the end of the book, and I know this is a second wish, but I really was hoping that it would kill for him.
Wait, when you say kill for him,
it would like kill kill something or someone for him, like it would murder for him. That was my wish.
I mean, that would have been great.
It would have been cool.
I had to wish a few chapters or like one chapter into this book, which is he'd become friends with that alien too. And
there it is.
It'd be like a buddy kind of thing. But
I briefly thought my wish was going to come true, but then I realized that it's called Bodysqueezers and that it would not, if he was going along with my wish, the things would not have worked out well for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to Goosebuds.
Welcome to Goosebuds.
Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Chad.
I'm Kevin.
And we are, as said before, we are reading the only 2-part book series in RL's pantheon of books. Each of them gods in their own ways. Some good gods, some bad gods. But this is the only 2-parter one. Would this be Janice? Yeah, I guess so.
You need a little bit of both. You need some good, you need some bad. That's what makes the stories fun. The myths fun.
Yeah, that's gods.
That's gods, baby.
Yeah, so we are. If you've listened to this episode first, you might want to go back and listen to part 1, a separate episode right before this.
Or don't. Do whatever you want. We're just happy you're listening to us.
It does remind me of something I wanted to talk about, just to lay out the very general hook of this book for y'all as we try to go through what the plot is and analyze it and give it the hard-hitting critiques they deserve. Of course. This is a second part of a book about a young boy named Jack Archer, who does sound like a Tom Clancy agent, who is convinced that aliens are landing, and he is mocked by all of his friends. And this first book ended with meteorites falling to the ground and green turtle-looking men, you see them on the cover, they're pretty cool actually, come out and are just going to take over. And also he has a neighbor named Mr. Fleshman, who was presumably FBI agent / special effects master. He's a Tom Savini. Is that who that is?
Yeah. We said he was like a Tom Savini type guy. Yep.
If Tom Savini was Agent 47.
That's a great combo there.
I'd watch that.
I would absolutely watch that. I really love the cover for this one because there's a kid getting touched by one of the Bodysqueezers. And I don't know he's like transcending. The bottom right of if you pull up the Bodysqueezers Series 2000 cover, someone who is listening, there's a kid. It looks like he's holding T-bone steak in one hand, and he's blissing out on his face.
Yeah, he's about to show me how to cook that on a YouTube short.
Who are these kids? Let me ask that, because this cover has 3 boys on it. Presumably 3 boys, and I don't know that any of them are Jack Archer. I don't know that any of them are. Maybe they're his 2 friends. I guess that could be it. But this scene never happens. And also in the background, we see massive rocks, death rocks that would have destroyed the town if they had fallen from space, with aliens riding them full-sized with flames erupting off of them, which is not how it happens in the book.
I mean, it looks rad as hell.
It does.
They are surfing those rocks.
It's radical, but it's not what happens in the book. And then look, I'm not going to say that Jacobus always has to do it like the book says, but it sets a certain expectation.
This is one of the first times that Jacobus's illustration, I thought, matched the description in the book, though, of the way RL... We often talk about how, like, in previous books, like, the cover was clearly done first, and then RL just, like...
Yeah.
Or did it simultaneously, where he wrote a monster that looks very different than what was described. These are, like, pretty much how RL writes them, and I wonder if it's because it was like a 2-month process. This one, he's like, oh, that's what they look like. Okay, cool. All right, I can write that.
But didn't we learn that Jacobus does the art first, and then RL does the thing?
Yeah.
So, like, I think he probably is just describing his own cover.
Usually he is, I guess. Yeah, sometimes I guess RL just doesn't care. I don't know. He just doesn't match it sometimes. These monsters are rad. I remember that as a kid, when I was just drawing monsters all the time in art class, and my teacher was like, please draw this still life. Please don't draw this monster again. I was definitely borrowing some from the design of the teeth of this thing, even though I hadn't read it. I just really liked that look.
I do like their alien-esque mandibles. Like their Alien, the movie-esque mandibles, the xenomorph.
Yeah, it's a little crabby too.
Yeah, the little crabby.
Yeah, I think this is good, like, eyes and teeth monster, you know? Like, this is some primal fear happening, but in a kid-friendly sort of way. Where
Agreed.
It's got some extra fluff all around it.
Doesn't need any of it, actually, because biologically, while these Bodysqueezers are seemingly built for hunting and devouring meat, these are more of a insidious alien that don't really need those.
They don't even use the biters. They just completely they just completely ignore their biters. You would think with the mechanic of this monster, right? It's a monster that we can just jump ahead a little bit. You know what? No, let's get into the beginning of it. We'll talk about it. But I do think they should be cuter and cuddlier, and I'll explain why when we get to the actual mechanics.
I already know. I love where your head's at.
Yeah.
This is we follow this one. I thought it was kind of interesting to read through part 2. With the first chapter essentially being kind of the previously on Dragon Ball Z type recap.
It's our first previously on Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do when you recap a story. I guess we should probably be doing the episodes about our podcasts more like this. But he briefly describes all of the beats of part 1. And then they went like, oh, yeah, he really did miss a main detail, and he kind of described it all in 10 pages. There's a lot of fluff in that first book, isn't there? Like, it's one of those sort of things where you're like, oh, condensed down. It's not much of a story.
I had such high hopes for what the Bodysqueezers could be.
Yeah.
I know.
Nothing sprung to mind, really, but I sure as hell didn't expect what RL ended up turning the Bodysqueezers in. So, like, we get a little bit of a chasey chase where the monster slowly stumbles after Jack, and he runs downstairs where he like tries to run outside, and he bumps right into Mr. Liss, his science teacher,
who, again, is a character that needed to matter but was not introduced to us until the very end of part 1. And there were opportunities to introduce Mr. Liss very early on in this book, which is interesting choices, just not to do that.
Also, he's like, I was worried about you. When I saw you almost jump out of the school building because your ball/meteorite got taken, and I just shook my head at you.
I'm so glad that they touched on the almost jumping out of the window.
But also, like, Mr. Liss just left school in the middle of the day?
He just abandoned class.
Yeah. He's like, I must go check on him. Everyone here just heads down, turn off the lights, and be quiet.
Do your homework, please.
Yeah. I'll be back in a couple hours.
So, Mr. Liss does show up. In the midst of him being chased by this monster, which in the beginning of its approach at him in his bedroom, is reaching out seemingly for a hug. And I thought for a brief minute that my wish was going to come true, that they was going to hug the monster and they were going to become best friends, and then they were going to kill Mr. Fleshman together. And my wish was going to come true, and I'm so disappointed that it did not happen.
We had guessed from last episode, based on what it was foreshadowing, that Mr. Fleshman's maybe like a counter alien group, or at least the government, but we're gonna find out like, in a classic RL twist, the goodies are the baddies, and we got to change sides. But that is not the case here. These aliens are insidious. And they very quickly start escalating things. Like I'd say this book has like a very strong first act.
It does.
Actually.
It does, because as Mr. Liss scares our Jack Archer with a classic Goosebumps fake out, they have a little conversation, and what's his name? Spaceship Boy,
Saucerman.
Saucer Boy. Saucer Boy lays out that there is an alien in his house now. And, in classic Goosebumps form, Mr. Liss doesn't believe him at first. But in a good turn, Mr. Liss is like, hey, we can go look. Let's just go look. And then they go inside. They do eventually see it. There's a great moment, I think, where Mr. Liss finally sees it, and he just says, oh my, over and over again. Constantly. And then his hubris is his downfall, right?
Well, I mean, consider Paul. He's on a simple teacher's salary, and he never really liked science, and he wants more out of life for himself, and he sees an alien in front of him.
All right, fair.
I found myself really liking Mr. List, even though he had no built up until this point, mostly because I think he does. You called it up, Paul. The part where like he's like, all right, Jack, if you're saying there's an alien, even though I think you're, caught up and had a bad nightmare or whatever it is, let's go check it out.
Right.
Like, yeah, these books never do this. It's always the like, I can't be bothered to look up for my paper, or like, you're just crazy.
Right.
And you can only do that so often before I think you get a little frustrated with it. I love like bring the adult in and then have them get picked off. That is scary, and I get why that would raise the tension. And I also just like Mr. List going like, all right, kid, like, let's actually, I'll listen to you. Let's go check it out. Walk around the house.
It was a great moment. And then he gets hugged. He thinks it wants a hug, which is, again, I think I'm thinking, hey, maybe Mr. List is going to hug it. And then they'll both become best friends with it. And then it will kill the person for him and the Fleshman for him. And it'll be my wish will come true again. But no, Mr. List hugs him. And as he's hugging him, we should have realized it's called a body squeezer. It begins to squeeze him violently.
Very intimate moment before the violent squeezing happens, though.
When he's saying, oh my, over and over again as he's being hugged.
Well, he says they're warm-blooded, and like they talk about the monster and Mr. List being cheek to cheek, and it seems almost tender. Like, you're like, okay, this might not go terribly wrong. But then it do.
It begins to shake him violently to the point where his glasses fall off of his face. And then the tendrils erupt into giant foot-long spikes that seemingly enter his body bloodlessly somehow. I'm not exactly sure how that happens.
This was written like in a point where I had to kind of like double take on the page. Okay, first it just seems like he's being stabbed and killed with like these finger spikes.
Yeah.
And then the way it's kind of described, to RL's credit, it's almost written artfully of like without really describing exactly what's happening, probably because it's an insane concept.
Right.
It made it seem like the creature was just kind of like splitting Mr. List open and going into him like a cut up tauntaun.
I was imagining it like a phasing, almost like he was phasing into him.
Yeah, I think that's what it ended up having to be, just based on, because as like it seems like, oh, this guy is going to be like a bloodied corpse, and in the post aftermath of the squeezer going into Mr. List, he's like, there's no Jack's like, there was no blood signs, no injuries or anything, and then like a general pod person alien possession just kind of like shakes it off and is like, I'm all good. Come and give me a hug. Let me hug you.
Well, to RL's credit, he does introduce these creatures by showing that they can like get small and then grow, right?
Right.
True.
So, and he also describes them as doing things like wetly, and that they're very wet. So I just kind of pictured like Mr. List's body drinking the monster like a milkshake, and then the milkshake going in like he's riding an Evangelion or something.
Oh, sick. Yeah, cool. I also thought it was really cool that Mr. List saw an alien for the first time and was very excited by it, and thought to himself, well, there's alien here. I could hug it and potentially become I could potentially become a friend to the alien, and then it would be my alien to introduce to the world. Or conversely, if the alien were to kill me, I would die hugging an alien, which is a fucking baller way to die.
That is pretty good.
So I mean, like, good on Mr. List to assess the situation and make the right choice.
Fun fact, if you die hugging an alien, Catholic God does have to let you into heaven, no matter what.
Wow, that's a life hack.
Yeah, because God did not create the alien, so technically it was not a sin to hug it. You are allowed into heaven
as long as you're baptized. As long as you're baptized.
You must.
Oh, sure,
yes.
But because as you're going up, St. Peter, he's just kind of doing quick ocular scans of everyone, and he's like, he registers you as alien as you come up.
Mm-hmm.
Much the way in Pacific Rim, they use the dead kaiju to open the portal and ride it into the rift. That's how you can get into heaven with a body squeezer.
One weird trick to get into heaven.
Doctors hate it.
Popes hate it. This is This is also where we're led on because when the alien gets control of Mr. Liss, he's like getting a feel for the new face controls, and he starts starts kind of acting a little weird, but they never get full one-to-one mouth control. It's amazing that they have like the memories and access to other things. But like the tell that someone has been squoze is that they go.
They make a little like chipmunk noises, right? It's like
it's like right, little tease.
I also loved he gets squozed, and then I love that it makes you act like just like a total freak, like he's like describing it. Jack Archer's describing it, and he describes what's happening to Mr. Liss as humming and smacking his lips, and quote, this is a direct quote from the book, just notes, crazy notes. just going all over them, like just complete manic notes happening here.
I mean, I guess this would be like you just jumped into a new body with organs you didn't normally have, right? So this is maybe you have vocal cords taken for a tail. You have to
vocalize. That's how you got to warm up the body.
Yeah, you basically become a theater kid.
Like, oh my god, yes.
He's doing all those voice warm-ups, and he's always asking for a hug. That's theater kid.
Oh, no. Shit. Yeah, let's all sit down and give each other a back rub. Uh-huh.
I never got that theater kid back rub.
You never did a back rub chain? You ever did this?
I think Massachusetts theater kids are infected by some Puritan beliefs.
Oh, yeah, there's no touching. No touching unless you know it's an alien.
So he tries to hug... tries to hug Jack. Jack jukes him. His mom comes home. Mm-hmm. But the alien knows enough to not try and hug his mom, so he hugs the mailman instead.
I love that. It's so great because there's a scene that plays out where Mr. Liss, sweet talks Mrs. Archer, and Mrs. Archer buys it. He's doing his weird tick thing, and she doesn't pick up on it because she's never met him. She's like, "Oh, you must be his teacher. I never met you in school. So I'm gonna be polite and not say anything about your clicky noise that you're making constantly." Yeah. And she lets him go.
Or the green bubbles coming out of your ears.
Or the green. Yes,
oh, that's the other tell. Yeah.
The green bubbles were great. They do briefly pop out of Mr. Liss's ears upstairs before he tries to hug Jack. And it's a great. I would hope that if they made an episode of this, I don't know if they did, that they had that moment happen.
You could pull off that effect, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think you could easily do a cheesy little thing for that. But so he goes outside, and Jack peers outside to see him hugging the mailman, which is a wonderful moment.
I kind of feel like this is a lesser sort of thing than... Remember the possession book we read where like the kid turns in, like he possesses a rat?
Yes. Yeah, that one was cool.
Yeah, like I feel like this is just sort of a rehash... Or I guess because this technically came earlier. This is because we had to jump back to do this one. The ideas in this were expanded on in the Rat Ghost, whatever the fuck one we read.
I'm looking up the list right now. I think it's Revenge of the. No, here it is. Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls was that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, okay.
And that one kicked ass.
Yeah, Graveyard Ghouls kicks ass, and this is sort of like a proto Graveyard Ghouls, where like people are getting possessed, but their ghosts aren't being kicked out because you can't have aliens and ghosts.
Right,
There's been a lot of possession. What was the other one we read where they jumped the kid jumped the canyon, and then there was like, we're going to put our body in you, kid. Halloween.
The Halloween one.
Headless Halloween.
That was right before Graveyard Ghosts. He's been doing a lot of possession stuff.
A lot of possession stuff. I think this one has a lot of like horror if you just being in an uncomfortable physical space with someone you don't know or someone you're not comfortable with. This is scary in itself. Regardless of they're going to, possess you. Just a lot of bad hugs.
Yeah, yes. You know what never came back from the first book is the whole like audio possession box thing.
Oh yeah.
Like that was my favorite part of book one or part one. And
yeah, what the hell was that?
They just never did anything with it.
There's some stuff I think we're going to cover as we go through the second book. Things that even with the big reveal of Mr. Fleshman that I don't know if they make sense in book one of things for him to be doing.
Agreed. Well, speaking of Mr. Fleshman, right after this sequence of events with Mr. Liss and he sees the mailman get hugged, Jack realizes no one is listening to him. The only person he can turn to is his next door neighbor, Mr. Fleshman. So he sneaked over there, which a phrase I do not like because I know it's correct. I've looked it up, but I don't like sneaked. I prefer snuck.
It should be snuck.
It should be snuck. He sneaked over there and he finds Mr. Fleshman in his house we have another little fake out, I believe, of a scare. And Mr. Fleshman, he's like, "What's up, dude? What's going on?" And Jack is like, "Well, let me just reveal let me play all my cards to you." I overheard you talking about being a secret agent, and now I know that you're in the FBI, to which Mr. Fleshman pauses briefly, assesses that he has received all of Jack's cards, and goes, Yes, I am, Jack.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Good catch. You are smart.
You are smart, Jack. So he does that, and he tells him to write down the names of everyone he has seen who has been hugged, and keep it a secret, and don't tell anybody anything, and hide in your house and lock the doors.
Not even like protect your family. It's like just make a list of names that I'm going to have to take care of later.
He just goes down to his level and he says, "Jack, I'm gonna level with you. You are God's special soldier now. I need you to fight and die and win for the cause of love.
Do not worry. If you die in this way, you will go to heaven." And
Jack's just so down to finally go to heaven because he knows both his mom and his dad are about to utter the words, "I'm ashamed of you," later on, which we'll get to. But that was, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead in my notes and I remembered that both his mom and his dad are ashamed of him.
Oh, wow. So. I did not write that part down, so I'm interested to
They
hear.
Were not loving parents in the first one very much.
Well, they are to Billy.
Yeah, they love Billy. They're very caring of Billy. But they did.
Billy's adorable and she has tonsillitis or something. Mm-hmm. So,
And they did try to take Jack to see a doctor for his, supposed, whatever was going on with Jack. They're like, there's something happening here, Jack. We're going to take you as soon as possible to a doctor to talk about this and try and figure out what's going on. So at least
But they never do.
No, they
never do. They keep talking about it. And then listen, seeking mental help and doctors are great. This feels less of a, this is someone who's actually going to help you with the anxiety and you can talk it out and, be heard, Jack. This is more like, we're going to take him to the man that gives him the drugs that makes Jack shut up.
Sure,
I read the parents and how they talk about this, doctor as a punishment sort of thing.
It's possible, but in classic Billy form, Billy one-ups him and steals his thunder. So I'm going to put this one on Billy, not the parents as much.
And after Jack visits Fleshman, and Fleshman says he's on the Alien Detection Bureau, and he's like, "Go die for your planet."
Mm-hmm.
Jack's like, "Hell
he
yes."
He doesn't say "go die for your
He infers it, Chad.
It's subtext, Chad, all right? Of course he's not going to say that to a child, but he says it.
But yeah, he's like, "I got it all under control. Don't you worry.
Me and my boys are gonna take care of it."
Top men are on this.
Top men.
I mean, yeah, top men.
Jack's bully friends come over.
Okay, and bully him,
but out of concern. They're like, "Hey, we saw you ran out of school and all the way home after we bullied you. Are you okay? Because we're gonna keep bullying you."
Because they have an ulterior motive, too, for bullying. Well, and here's the thing. I do want to say this, and I think we mentioned it in the first episode. I do think that this book gets marks for portraying kids how they are and not just doing a classic Goosebumps two-dimensional bully where it's just a mean kid who's always mean and always picking on. That's typically what we get, right? This is pretty real in that, the kids do bully him, but they do, kind of care about him at the same time. They just don't know how to process all the emotions they're feeling as children. You know what I mean?
It's almost as if empathy is a type of knowledge that you have to learn.
Exactly.
I definitely took these kids both in this first part and the second one that these are light bullies at most and are maybe Jack's best friends. In terms of how Jack sees them, they are antagonists, but they are leaving school to check in on him. That seems like a big thing for a friend to do. And while there's some selfish motivations, Derek and Henry, I think in this and the other book, they're both like, "Hey, we'll make sure you're okay." Also, are you going to try for the swim team and play and be on the swim team with us? You're really good. We would like to win. That's supportive and complimentary and saying like join an activity with us.
Right. They do try. They're trying.
They seem more friendly than, and also just like, well, also, hey, we call you Saucerman because you see aliens a lot. I kind of wish people would call me Saucerman. That sounds dope.
I mean,
like,
they did hold Jack down and give him pink belly until he puked before that.
I blocked that part out. Maybe like I did with my own bullying. I blocked that part out.
Yeah. But they also said you should join an activity where we can bully you further after school hours.
Again, they just need the knowledge. I think they're his friends, and I do think that that's a good thing. And they try to talk him into joining the swim team. They fake him out with some fake hugs. They say he asked Mr. List if he hugged them, and they're like, "No, you freak," and they leave. And then the bullies talk to him about the thing, and then I think that's pretty much the end of that sequence, right? It's basically just letting us know that he has to go to the swim team at some point. Oh wait, there's one great image that RL wrote, and I had to thank him for writing it in this book. He's talking. Jack is talking to Henry and someone else, whatever the other kid's name is. And there's a line that says, Henry licked his bright blue braces. And I liked that RL just drew our attention to Henry's teeth as he licked across them briefly.
His gross, dirty braces that always have, braces get fucking gross, man.
Oh, yeah, I had them. And that's why I'm thinking about licking them. That's why I think about licking them. Grosses me out.
Did you ever have, did you ever try doing clear bands?
No, I had colors. I had bright blue, gray.
You were smart. The dentist was like, yeah, there's this new thing now. Instead of colors, you can get clear bands. So like, it'll seem like you have less braces on. And you're like, that's a great idea. And then you realize that the clear braces absorb the color of all the food you've eaten over the month, and it just becomes gross. And
they turn smokers yellow is what they do.
It's an awful.
It's disgusting.
Awful thing.
Anyways, they go to school.
They go to school. He sees Mr. List in the halls and is like, nope. And then he does a triple backflip into the principal's office. And the principal's like, why don't you tell me what's going on? And so he does. Again, laying all his cards out on the table.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he plays this so badly the entire book.
He does a terrible job here. He does a terrible job up until this moment. And then he briefly gets cool for a couple of chapters. And we'll get there. But he does terribly play this situation.
Yeah, and the principal's like, why don't you come over here and give me a hug? And does a little TTT click thing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh no, you're one of them. And she's like, yep, come here, get that hug. And he's like, no.
And then he backs into Mr. List, who like holds him like he's holding him for a prom photo briefly.
Yep.
So he prom photos with Mr. List briefly, whirls out of that, triple Lindy's away from that moment. And then flees and hides in the school, which it's cool. He goes to the auditorium and he blends in with the 8th graders because for some reason there's an emergency assembly is occurring.
Does that happen after the pool?
That happens before the pool.
So there's an assembly where 2 cops are going to pull out a briefcase full of drugs and they're going to be like, this is drugs. Dare not to do them.
Also, we have a rap song about it. We're going to do it right now. Yeah.
And everyone throws garbage at the cops, which they eat.
And they go, yummy, yummy, trash, our favorite food.
And I was like, wow, well, that's cool as hell.
So he hides amongst the 8th graders, and and he narrowly avoids the gaze of the principal, whose name I cannot remember.
Oh, I was like, I should write down the name of the principal, and I'm like, no, it doesn't matter.
It truly didn't matter. She was in like 2 scenes trying to hug him.
Mrs. Berkman?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there you go. It still doesn't matter. She just tries to hug him a couple times. And that's it.
Yeah, there's like an alien-style scene where he hides in some crates.
He hides in a mothball-ridden crate, which smells the sour smell of mothballs. And that is the moment that I realized what the sour smell meant, because I do think a mothball is real sour and gross smelling.
I like that part. Really? That was yucky.
It didn't me either. I thought I could really relate to it was probably the scariest moment for me in the book.
I'd say this is also, maybe the scary moment, also maybe where Jack... he fucks up the most because, like we've been calling, he's not been playing his cards well at all.
No,
there are multiple times where he doesn't have to like outright lie, but he could definitely present the information of what he knows in a different way. He could say, "Mr. List attacked me."
Right.
Fine.
Yeah.
He could tell the principal that like he thinks there's someone who's trying to hurt someone in school. There's all these ways to say things without like basically invalidating your entire report. But right here in the back of this auditorium, behind the curtains, he basically sees the two cops, the ones that he wants to talk to, and I'm like, Jack, don't do that, dude. The cops aren't going to help you.
Right. No.
Like,
and I like how he says, I don't know if you can be arrested for being an alien. And I'm like, that's a good point.
Even if they believed you, they'd be like, what's the crime?
I love that. I love that line because he says, was it a crime to be possessed by a space alien? Questions. Too many questions.
Like he tells the cops and they're like, we believe you, but we just don't know how to process this.
The principal does get him, though, at this point. She grabs him, and he just is like, he sees that the principal in power has gotten him, right? And he kind of just, in not a type of hero that we want to root for, gives up. He just surrenders to fate, and he faints within her arms. The old fainting trick works on the Bodysqueezers.
It felt like whenever you try to pick up a little kid and they do that thing with their whole body just goes limp and they kind of fall out between your arms. It felt like that technique.
Dead weight.
Also, before I just make sure we jump over it, this is right after Mrs. Berkman gets both cops.
She's about to get the cops.
Okay.
She does it right after because he runs off and hides again, I believe, and watches as the two police officers come back to, I believe this happens after it. But yeah, anyways, regardless, a situation happens where he is watching. He sees the two police officers get hugged. The one police officer watches the other police officer get body squeezed.
What happened here? I wanted to ask what you guys thought of it.
I think she double hugs the both of them. I think she goes in wide.
She does, Kevin. I reread the segment again, and it talks about hugging the skinny one first and then the other one next. So she definitely body squoze the one police officer while the other one watched, which was fun.
If one of the cops had been ridden, that the one that's watching is just like, wow,
yeah,
you're kidding me, wow, like just like kept saying it and couldn't move, I'd buy it.
If it were Joe Latruglio in Wet Hot American Summer just explaining the situation, it would have been an incredible moment.
Oh, yeah, totally. He's doing it. Oh my God. Oh, whoa. Yeah, totally. Perfect person.
And now he's coming for me. Oh my God.
Rachel too. Oh my God. Just he screams, oh my God, during the entire possession sequence.
They're hugging him. And then they're going to hug me.
This is, by this point, I want to mention that, like, I not to question the logic too much, I was a little bumping this whole time that this isn't a Animorph Yerk situation where one alien per body.
Right.
This is like the aliens are the vampiric curse itself, where it goes originally to Mr. Liss, and then we see Mr. Liss, like you said, hug the mailman, who's probably excited to have anyone appreciate the mail ever.
Chad, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Like, what are the mechanics of this? Because they're waiting for more aliens to show up. That's something that is implied that Mr. Fleshman says. When obviously Mr. Fleshman is two-timing on Jack, he's like, more are coming. And like, even when we heard the voices, Kevin, in the first book, they were talking about like waiting for the wave to come. So like, yeah, what is it all about? Like, are they entering their bodies? Are they just infecting them with a parasite? Like, what's the deal?
No, this is RL, the subtle master at his best, where he just sort of, all the clues are there as to what is truly happening. And he leaves it towards the most erudite of readers to figure it out.
I see. It was just it was upon us, the readers, who were wrong.
Yeah.
My guess is that there's some sort of asexual reproduction happening when they put the nail fingers in your back.
Okay.
And a new body squeezer. Maybe it has the same thoughts and personalities as the original Body Squeezer. Or it doesn't seem like, because actually we find out they're a drone system.
Right.
But they will just infest you, and now they just keep spreading.
Got it.
But
all right.
It did throw me a little bit based on what they had already said.
Yeah, that didn't strike me right away, but when you bring it up, it does bug me a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is the part he dodges, he gets out, and he
Naruto runs over to the locker room.
And this is the best part, because right now is the moment in the book where I was like, this is fucking cool that Jack is a cool character who skips school to fight aliens. But then Jack runs into his two friends who are like, yo, you should try out for the swim team. And he's like, you know what? Let's take a break and let's do that. And he does.
Yeah, this becomes a slice of life type thing for us.
I can't tell no to this teacher, so I guess in the middle of the day I'll try out for swim team. What is this?
Yeah, the teacher has like 6 kids pulled out of class to try them out for the swim team. Something that would definitely go over well.
This is where we meet the weirdest character in Coach Finney.
Oh, Coach Finney, who is as tall as our main character, who is 12, I believe.
Yes, and has a ponytail and drives all the girls.
Yes.
Wait, was that a detail that he...
Yes.
I remember that he
Yes.
drove the girls wild, but he was short and has a ponytail.
He had a ponytail and light blue eyes, and the girls had crushes on him, according to Jack, at least.
Yeah, so Jack gets some borrowed swim trunks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he goes and he swims a few laps, and it's just like a nice little palate cleanser, in between all the crazy. Like he's swimming, he messes up, but they do like this impromptu race, and then he kicks everyone's ass.
And he's feeling good. He's feeling himself.
And he clocks during it.
Yes.
A lot of mention that despite them always, quote, always being in the water, his friends Henry and Derek, who have brought him there, don't want to get in the pool. It seems like they're averse to the water.
Yeah, this is good. This is a very important detail that will totally matter.
Incredibly important detail. RL beat M. Night to the punch by about 4 years here. I don't know exactly what year this came out. I'm going to say 2 to 4 years he beat him.
Before Science.
Before Science. This was pre-Science. He had this idea in his mind. It's a pre M. Night burn that happens here.
Yeah. Yeah. So just a little bit of that old foreshadowing on something that's totally going to matter.
Totally going to matter.
We needed this scene because this very important thing was told to us that matters.
Yeah. So then he goes home.
He goes home.
He's like, that was nice to swim around a little bit and get my mind off those aliens. Anyway, by the way, like aliens he knows are just invading constantly.
Right.
Like it has been at least a day since the mailman was lost.
Right.
Yeah. And he's just kind of like, gotta add him to my list. I'll tell Mr. Fleshman later.
He does get confronted by his two friends in the hallway who try to hug him and are starting to do the tick thing now. So he does run into them. He realizes that his friends have also been possessed and he goes home. To which he opens the door and finds green slime everywhere. Ooh. Scary cliffhanger. And we open up the next chapter with him finding a note from his mom explaining that her sister's tonsils are hurting, so much so that she couldn't even keep her green jello in her mouth. She spit it all over the floor, and instead of cleaning it up,
they didn't even clean it up. They just left
Instead of cleaning it up, she decided to write a note about it and leave Jack with the problem.
And then Jack is like, I better make sure that this is really green jello that my kid sister spit up all over the floor.
That touched her poisoned tonsils and she spit out.
Best case scenario, you're eating thrown up green jello, Jack.
Right. And he does. He tastes it.
He does.
He's like, yep, it's green jello.
Mm-hmm.
Glad I checked. On one hand, he could just be eating alien foot slime.
Yep.
And on the other, he's like, it could be green jello.
Maybe he saw Mr. List make that choice earlier to either become best friends with an alien or be eaten by an alien. And he thought, I need to make a gambit like this myself.
Yeah. Yeah, Jack's nasty.
Jack's a nasty freak.
Jack, it ramps up pretty crazy here, where then Ding Dong, who's at the door of his house, but his other two bully friends, Maddie and Marcia, are there.
Right.
And he's smart enough to like open the door on the lock chain. He's not gonna let them in
Well,
yet.
here I got to say this about this moment, Chad, because you are right. He does do that. But prior to this, when the Jello taste happens, he goes, "I'm locking the doors. I'm listening to Mr. Fleshman, and I'm not letting anyone in. No one gets in here but my family." Literally 2 pages later, the girls knock on the door and he's like, should I trust them? And he opens the door with the lock chain on there. And they talk to him briefly, and he decides to open up the door and let them in.
It's like, you don't want to hug me, do you? And they're like, we don't want to hug you. And he's like, okay, that's all the checking I'll do.
Okay.
They mention it's the smartest the aliens have been. They do mention like, our other two friends, the aforementioned kids, Henry and Derek, are acting strange, i.e., these two girls are on the side of the humans. And Jack's like, I'm going to be the hero. And he lets them in. Huge rookie mistake. And they all start to react to just orange orbs are falling everywhere. The asteroid that he had from the very beginning, it's just raining down around the town.
And it's a cool, this is a cool image. I thought this was really neat to see like the terror that was happening. Like some real apocalyptic terror. It was actually a pretty cool sequence. And there's and I'll say this throughout this book, there are good scares in it. I thought the absorptions were good. There's like a lot of really good spooky stuff happening in here that's good. It's just some of the logic is a little all over the place.
The logic's all over the place. The betrayals are a little one note. Like every reveal, like kind of feels like it has the same like dun 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 kind of sting to it.
Yeah,
because like 5 seconds after the orange rocks rain down, which is legitimately pretty cool, we find out that the girls got squoze.
Yeah, they pop out, revealing their squozenness. And does he run at this point? Does he just book it, or
he just abandons his house, or he tries to get back in the house? Yeah,
he gets back in the house and then he locks the door, and then they're like, fuck it, we'll get him later.
Oh, this is a great part because he locks the front door and then he goes, oh shit, the back door, and goes to book it to the back door, and then the phone rings and he decides, well, I better answer the phone before I lock the back door.
Yeah. And it's his dad, and his dad's like, we're at the hospital and we're gonna be here for a while because Billy's having her tonsils out. You can eat a peanut butter sandwich for lunch. I don't really give a shit. And he's like, Dad, there's two parents. I have two parents, right? And right now, both of them, like, I've been showing some signs, right, Dad? Like, I've been showing that I'm not like super all right. And I just want to point out again, there are two of you. One of you can like hang out with Billy as she's going through her thing. Maybe the other one of you comes back here and like helps me through my thing.
They both prefer Billy for sure. They definitely like Billy more.
And Dad's like, I don't know. I don't think so. Also, I'm ashamed of you for talking about aliens. I am ashamed of you in something that I hope you remember for the rest of your life. At this moment, at the end of my rope, over the phone where I can't hear you clearly, I'm going to tell you, my son, I am ashamed of you.
Now you guard my home for us. You do it.
I hope this moment makes an impression on you and sticks with you for the rest of your life.
I was furious at this point. I was like, man, Jack, you don't deserve that. I mean, you suck, but you don't deserve that.
It's been a book of... The first book and this beginning of this book have been like the parents haven't been acting too stupid, right? Like whenever a parent has not listened, it's been for good reason. And whenever Jack has done something, you kind of understand his motivations. But as soon as the fucking door locking thing happened, and then 2 pages later he decided to unlock the door for no reason other than the girls told him it was okay, Jack becomes a dumb protagonist, your classic dumb horror protagonist, and every parent becomes the parents from every other Goosebumps book.
Yeah. The way you guys are bringing that up about how feeling bad about Jack here kind of explains more of the next sequence that I thought was wild. That is, as Jack can look out his window and see a nightmare apocalypse of orange asteroids falling and people being just squoze.
Squozed
it's
out.
It's like the opening of Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
Happening outside his house.
Yes.
And Jack is finally like, well, no one cares about me. Guess I'll just watch some TV and eat some chips.
Yep.
And he just has a nice night.
Yeah, he just eats 3 dinners, which is way too real. Like, the world is ending around him. And it's like, all right, well, I'm going to have a sandwich and some cereal and some chips.
Ice cream for dinner? I think I will.
Yep.
I loved it. I loved second dinner. It was cracking me up. And then third dinner of chips was beautiful. And then he just passes out.
Before that, he looks over to Fleshman's house, and Fleshman is just watching TV.
That's right. Like, Fleshman's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So that should be a big wee-woo,
right? Right.
At this point, I assumed that the way this is going to end up is if Fleshman's still an ally. The water's been overly set up. Mm-hmm. Fleshman knows it's going to rain tomorrow, and everything's going to be a-okay.
Right.
Like he's. But even then, I'd be like, that's still too cavalier. The fact that Agent Fleshman is just watching Good Times and not Jack should be very distressed, but he doesn't. He goes to sleep with a full belly, falls asleep wearing his street clothes,
right?
And he wakes up the next morning, finding out his parents came and went, didn't even wake him up. just like wanted to not talk to him. And even been like, you can get yourself to school, right? You can take the multi-bus route to school.
Yeah, he manages to catch his mom just in time for her to say, I'm also ashamed of you.
This might be the only valuable moment we have in this very hectic couple of days where your sister's in the hospital and you're suffering a mental breakdown. But I am ashamed of you. I got to squeeze that in real quick.
One thing they say in parenting is always say shit out of anger to your child and like right to their face. Like whatever thought just immediately pops into your head, just say that to your kid and be like, sometimes I wish I didn't have you. Like, just that's what they like. They like honesty.
Not only should you talk to your kid like they're an adult, talk to them like they're an adult that you absolutely loathe and you blame for all of your life choices.
Yeah, don't lie to your kid.
Protect them from nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, your job as a parent is not to protect them, okay? This whole family has trouble with lying. Like, Billy's the only one who can lie. Everyone else just, like, tells the fucking truth, like, straight off their head, so.
Yeah, they actually do need to learn a little bit about filters, including Billy's lies. I think this is the area where, while Billy's like, I'm going to the hospital, Billy's like, I saw a blue alien, you saw a green alien, because she always one-ups.
That's later. That's later.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because Billy's not back from the hospital yet.
Yeah, it's definitely after the bus sequence, because he takes the bus. Instead of going to school, he hops on the bus to go to City Hall, where his dad works, because he's like, I could definitely talk to the mayor, and I can get the mayor to shut this shit down. I'm nip it in the bud. Because
it's gone so well with all the other authority figures I've talked to, I might as well take it all the way up to the mayor my great persuasion skills.
And all the way there, he's watching, again, to your point, it's like the beginning of Dawn of the Dead. There are people being squoze all over town as he's just driving down the street. He says to the bus driver, hey, did you see that? To which they respond, no. And then, which is a very realistic bus driver response.
Yeah. But the war has been lost. Like, Jack has to be thinking, like, either Fleshman's got some sort of secret weapon, or I think this is getting out of hand.
Yeah.
But I have to get to Dad. My dad, who definitely isn't disappointed in me. I must get to him.
So, yeah. So, Jack gets to the mayor's office. Or the front desk person is like, do you have an appointment? And Jack's like, whatever. And he just runs past and he sees his dad and the mayor, or the deputy mayor or whatever, in their office. And he's like, I gotta tell you something, Dad. And his dad's like, let me introduce you to the deputy mayor. And they both go clickety click click. And he's like, you guys are Bodysqueezers.
I really appreciate for RL for holding back on not being too ridiculous and making it be the deputy mayor instead of the mayor.
Yeah.
I know the mayors are busy and you wouldn't be able to get time with them. So I super appreciate deputy mayor.
It was deputy mayor. That was a good choice on his part.
So Jack's got to evade both his father's hugs, and he almost gives in. Like he almost, like when he finds out his dad got.
He does surrender at this point. He says, everyone's been squozed. It's time to give up. And then for some reason, his arm lashes out and knocks a glass of water off. For some reason, he just randomly...
I just watched something similar in Dragon Ball Super, and it was right after Beerus had killed Goku as he's trying to teach him to go Super Saiyan God.
Okay.
Yeah. Goku kind of has like an instinct. It's not Super Bowl, it's not the instinct form, but Goku's kind of awoken supernaturally to fight back, and I think that's what Jack does here. Yeah, an inner spirit kind of lashes out and goes, "No, not yet."
I love that.
Yeah, knocks over the water ball.
Let's say that this is a Goku moment. He knocks over the water, to which both Bodysqueezers, Dad Bodysqueezer and Deputy Mayor Bodysqueezer, freak out, and we go, "Yeah, it's a sign situation. He's gonna fuck them up with water." So he books it while they're still panicking. Gets out of the place, flags down a bus that stops for him for some reason while it's driving, which is very unbus-like.
Also, the bus is being driven by a Bodysqueezer, so I guess they're not really like talking to each other.
I know, because this Bodysqueezer is like, well, I guess I'll just keep going about my job and drive people around on the bus. Doesn't matter about the whole takeover thing we're doing.
One of the scariest things about like They Live, which is, one of the best examples of doing this type of story.
Right.
Is that part right where as soon as like to be fair, Roddy Piper also doesn't play his cards well in that movie.
No.
But but as soon as he does play all of his cards, an old woman's like, I can see him. He's 6'2" and blonde and has a flannel shirt. And like everyone then knows what he looks like, which is really scary. This is instead the bus driver who's possessed is like, well, what would a bus driver be doing? I guess I'd be doing all the routes.
Yep.
Got to pick people up, take them over somewhere. Yeah.
I'm too busy to be hugging. I got a bus to drive.
That bus driver's in debt, so he's got to do his fucking job. So Jack's taken back to his home, or he's taken back to the bus stop near his home. He runs back to his house. Like fire trucks and police trucks crash into his living room, and he runs into his basement.
It's incredible.
And he grabs a super soaker, and I'm like, fuck yes. All of the little breadcrumbs have led up to this moment. RL, you're a genius. This is cool. Like, after being kicked around for 2 books, Jack Archer's knowledge, his attention to detail,
his intuitiveness.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all paying off. The qualities of this character are actually going, that we thought were a burden, that we were bemoaning of him.
And Kevin, add on to it, the way you quickly said, like fire trucks and police, the entire town is converging on Jack's house.
Yes.
Jack knows now he's like one. They've even said he's one of the last ones in the entire town not converted. It is like a real I Am Legend, more the book than the movie, of Last Stand. And Jack kicks open the front door, doesn't say he's all out of bubblegum necessarily, but he's ready, and he starts laying into people. He starts shooting them with the squirt gun. They, quote, fall away or are knocked back. Only for, I feel like, Kevin, I want to give that to you because you were setting it up.
They just get a little splishy splashed. They just get a little wet. Like that, he goes, pew, and hits them with the water, and they go, hee, and that's about it. Like,
you thought water would turn us, you dumb idiot?
Yeah.
Who would have that as a twist in their story? Only a freaking idiot would do that.
Then what were we doing this whole time with the no swimming and the scared? Like, it doesn't make sense that that they were scared of the water bottles in the deputy mayor's office.
They even say, we're like, oh yeah, they don't address the water bottle because I don't think RL knew. But when they're like, but you two, you didn't want to go in the pool. We didn't feel like it, you dingus.
I love it. I love it because it's a moment where it doesn't. The fun thing is it's not even playing off the signs thing. It's like this is pre that.
No.
I'm sure a story has done the monsters can be killed by water thing before this, but I don't know of it specifically. But I love that he does this whole fake out, and like the only way it could have been better is if one of the aliens was like, why would we come to a planet that's 70% water if we were if they had dropped that line, it would have been the most.
He cinema sin signs ahead of time.
It would have been incredible. It would have been an incredible pre-burn, and I would have said this is the best book.
What if they're like, why would we land in LA when it's like 90% humidity in the summer? Like, there's water in the air, you dingus.
It's funny though, because I did think about that, Kevin, where I was like, because LA though there's not a lot of rain that happens there, so I thought that was an interesting. I was like, okay. They're attacking LA because it's an area where like they can get to very dry areas very quickly, and there's not a lot of chance of like freak rainstorms fucking up their invasion. So I thought that was actually kind of a good move if that was his twist, but it's not his twist. He just took us on multiple scenes to different places to set up this twist, only to be like, nah, fuck you, lol.
It's actually an inverse Shyamalan, right? Because in Signs, no foreshadowing of the water, I don't think.
Other than the girl having the need to keep water everywhere.
Oh, sure. That's set up over like just kind of a nice cute thing, but in terms of the aliens having any aversion to it, nothing.
Right.
And then at the end you're like, oh my god, the water kills them. Don't think about it. That's crazy. That's so good. Swing away, Meryl. This is the opposite. This is a bunch of water set up, and then nothing happens.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's...
This would have been fine, too, if we hadn't had the whole, like, deputy mayor adventure scene.
That's what I'm saying. What is that?
Why? Maybe the deputy mayor's desk was just a really nice type of wood that didn't have, like, a finish on it. And he's like, oh my god, that's going to stain the wood. Oh my god. And that's why he was upset.
Or maybe there was, like, something else on the desk, like, I don't know, like ballpoint pen ink or something. And they're like, that's the real thing that kills us is ballpoint pens. So
the budget presentation that I had everyone working on, it's wet now.
So they're all chanting hug, hug, hug.
This is great. I did love the hug, hug, hug chants happening from outside the house and then all around him. And he's surrounded. And once again, our main character surrenders to the ceaseless march of the aliens before him.
But he sees hope. He sees in the back of the crowd, he sees his old buddy, Mr. Fleshman.
He's here. He's finally going to pull his ploy with his alien destruction bureau that he works for, is going to come in and swoop in and save the day. The cavalry's here. Nah, he is Mr. Fleshman. Exactly what we thought. He's an alien come to Earth. He's the power supply that powers all of these aliens. He rips off his Fleshman disguise, which he named himself Fleshman. He made himself a very obvious thing by being a special effects supervisor, which is another strange job to give yourself. Be an accountant, Mr. Fleshman. Be something boring that doesn't draw attention, Mr. Fleshman.
His line was just like, you're making him giving him more credit, Paul, of like, oh, I needed to be able to make a masterful disguise. He doesn't even say that. He goes like, I came up with the fact that I was a special effects person to convince humans that I had a job.
Exactly.
Okay. Could do any job. Do anything that doesn't draw attention to you.
Be an accountant. It's boring. No one cares.
Yeah, your kids won't spy on you if you don't just be an accountant.
Also, don't keep a scrapbook of all the times you were with your alien friends.
I know Instagram isn't around and posting pictures of your friends online is a lot harder to do, but like, you know, don't keep the evidence. Like you said, Kevin, don't keep the evidence.
That's his family. He misses them probably.
All right, that's
like,
fair.
I want these photos of them, and they're all coming.
Can't wait till my boys show up. It's going to be a crazy party.
So Fleshman's just a brain bug with mac and cheese on the outside, as far as I'm concerned.
I love it.
And he squashes him up to Jack Archer to like mercy kill him on his own, give him the final squoze. And Jack, like, he drops his super soaker, and there's a cool breeze for the first time in the hot LA summer. Mm-hmm. It's a lovely little sign that, you know, things are going to keep changing and moving on. And, you know, maybe it's time Jack changed as well. And what's death but the biggest change someone can make?
Maybe change is the only constant in the universe, and maybe he needs to give in and go with the flow.
And so, with electricity arcing around new Fleshman, he steps into the squishy hug, but then he remembers he has an Uno reverse card in his wallet.
Yeah, he just decides to be the one who wins, and he wins.
Yeah, he Goku's, and a shock woke him up, and he says he tensed every muscle, tensed them so hard they hurt, tensed his muscles so much that his bowels ejected through his butthole.
Oh, that's okay.
That's why it happens. Okay, it's real, Chad.
Yeah, it's real. You gotta watch out. And he grit his teeth, set my jaw, tied my arms, my legs, and burst into the creature's back. I slid inside Mr. Fleshman, into a deep darkness, into pulsing heat, into a strong, steady, throbby current. Inside.
Ugh.
He invades him somehow.
He reverso invades him. It's beautiful. And then there's a great quote because he breaks out after he's broken down the will of Mr. Fleshman, the brain beast, and he jumps, quote, out of the meaty, hot alien body. Cool phrase.
Kind of the way, I guess, like, Neo jumps into Agent Smith at the end of the first Matrix, and you're like, yeah, I guess he can do that.
Yeah. Honestly, he did this before Signs and the Matrix, so he's the better writer out of all three of those people. Four of those people.
He did it first.
If you do it first,
you're the best writer.
You're the best writer.
So he explodes back out of him. Yep. Green Matrix code going everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He's flexing a little bit, and even the environment is moving with him in the flexing.
Yep.
And then there's like a half momentary fake out of like, oh, all the monsters are still there.
Yep.
But then they all just go limp.
Everyone greens their pants, and suddenly the monsters aren't in them anymore.
This is why I thought the mechanics of invading with another, instead of it being like one body per person, to be like it's making more squeezers.
Uh-huh.
And the way I saw it was like, even like Gary's mod, if you just suddenly type in like load 300 characters and you just see them all kind of like ragdoll fall to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I was picturing happened in this moment, as just green men just thudded over everyone.
It's canon. That's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They drop, and everyone awakes and praises Jack. Jack is the king. He's defeated the aliens, and he also has all the power inside of him too, for some reason.
Yeah. He starts levitating a few inches off the ground, and he shoots a few lightning bolts over the heads of his adoring crowd.
Ultra Instinct Jack.
Yeah. And then Billy pokes her head out, and she's like, "What's up, dipshit?" And he's like, "What?"
She's like, "I was upstairs, watched the whole thing. You did great, big brother. But also, now that you fought the green aliens, what about the blue one?"
And he's like, "Oh, Billy, don't start with this one-upsmanship again. It's your one trait, and I wish it wasn't."
It's your one trait that has led us to this inevitable twist to end the book. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you. And then coming down the ramp, bursting out of the closet is a blue alien, and Billy's like, "He wants a hug, Jack. Give him a hug." And that's the book.
And we say, "Oh, there are more aliens." Book over.
And that's it. That's all of the Bodysqueezers. Or we would say that.
Damn.
If there wasn't a Give Yourself Goosebuds called Revenge of the Bodysqueezers.
Did we ever read that one?
Whoa!
I don't think so.
We got to get on that.
We're going on it. That's going to be, we should do that next to see how much it ties up.
Hey, if you want to have input on what we read next on this show, and you also want to support the show financially, you can go to patreon.com/goosebuds, where you get access to our exclusive Discord. You get to weigh in when we put up polls sometimes what books we're going to cover next, including our adventure books. And you also get access to our bonus Camp Goosebuds episodes we put out every month.
Check it out. Check out what we're going to read next. I just looked at the cover of Revenge of the Bodysqueezers. They got alien guns now. We're reading it.
Whoa!
Wow. Glock, glock, Bodysqueezers. Hey, really quick, I have a book coming out. Please go to spacekings.space and either sign up to get an email about my book Space Kings, which is a tabletop RPG that I'm developing with my friends and uses playing cards instead of dice. And it's really fun. I play it with Paul and sometimes Chad and Nick and Josh on a little podcast called Pretend Friends. So if you want to go over and check it out at spacekings.space, maybe it's available, maybe it's an email. You go there and you find out.
And if you haven't already, listen to our old Goosebuds RPG episodes.
Yeah, do that.
We're working on some more of those in the future.
There's a little podcast called Goosebuds you can listen to and hear the game as well. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. Get over to spacekings.space and get yourself signed up. It's going to be worth your time.
Yeah, get involved.
I think that's been a bubs, guys.
That's been a bubs.
I think we budded.
I'm going to go wrap my whole torso around so none of my muscles escape through any holes in my body.
Yeah, I need to go tape my butthole up.
I'm going to go taste some green slime on the floor.
All right. Until next time, guys.
Have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye. This episode of Goosebuds is brought to you by our wonderful Patreon supporters in the Book of Names, starting off with Stefan Jive Turkey Kuwabara,
Hollis Hornbeak,
Cameron Murphy Audio,
Michael McDowell,
Hey Josh Robb,
Mickey C,
Nathan Dolezal,
Kelly C,
Mike Lanteri,
Buddy Morrill,
Low Belly Hate Me,
Ilcade,
Mel Dipson,
Afsheen,
Danky McStanky,
Dango Twists,
Zach Weary,
Silkat Nez.
I think you nailed it.
Well, congratulations, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.
Stealth Bates,
Patrick Reynolds,
Robert Moon,
Jason Crooker,
Clay Castle,
Miguel Pardo,
John Keaty,
Kay Off,
Third Sergio.
Good news. I talked to Aaron, and we are restarting Paranoia Shop. So you and Aaron are doing it? I mean...
Good luck on your new venture.
Good luck on your new venture. I'll see you in court.
Quentin, I am in your walls.
Gregory D. Warren,
Alan Saylor,
Cody Redfield,
Bradford Coulter,
Aiden Alexander Dace,
Jar Jar Slinks,
Chosen One,
Levi Than,
Up in Champ,
Jonas Eggman,
Maloyster,
Carl,
Broccoli here. Recipe still incoming. Just need to find a pretty bowl.
The John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation.
Elusive Koala.
Yanni Markovina.
Alicia Grafe.
Joe.
Brooke, capital X.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Christian Van Skeever.
Drew Applegate.
Jeremy Lowe.
Brian Hopgood.
Zach Connor.
Patreon_donator, yo.
Joe Spooky Digital Ghost Tierney.
Tom Whittem.
Andrew Jadsack just sold his script for Homework Strike to A24.
Whoa,
God
whoa,
damn it, Jadsack. I'm seeing you in court.
Lord Cornwallis, our attorney, has a word for you, Andrew.
Have you seen the offices of Cornwallis and Cornwallis?
Carson Birkenbean.
Murph EP.
Jonas Blatterman.
Tevin Ticklebeam. Gnomish Ranger. Teehee, you silly goose.
Sean Minogue.
Rushy Glenn.
Wiggle it!
Paul Grasso.
Chip Handsome.
Matt McClellan.
John Pigeon Hat Barber.
Joe, regular name, Scott.
Alex Moon. The Robotic Dog.
Sarah Kemp.
Tanya Turtle.
Vincent Modica.
Luke Noodles.
Hugh Bolin.
Zambambino.
Juan Jalapeno.
Keith Halcrow.
Timothy Misadolakis.
Clay McCarty.
Matthew Stevens.
Parker Lee.
Ham_boat.
Hey guys, Kevin here. What properties should a magical knife called the Steamland Cleaver have?
I think you're going to have to disenchant that cursed item. Nathan Remick.
Dean Ward Kimchi.
Raymond Hernandez.
Flamily.
The Crowfens, but seasonal.
I like that. Matthew Sutton.
Lee Wood.
Jeffrey Owen Cahy.
Reed Stubendike.
Kelsey Kinnaman.
Joey Evans.
Russell Castberg.
Xavier Jimenez.
Brendan Arifin.
Liam Neeson's dough.
Chris Butrikis.
Scotty Pippen.
Carewise Gamgee.
Streak.
Meet Virginia.
Super Swaggy 64. Rise of the Sunshine YOLO Squire.
Wow.
Oh, that's a rare 64 game. I love it.
Cameron Hansen.
Dungeon Kappa.
MC Hamster.
Zach Weary? Is this also you? Did we do something wrong?
Did we just now notice that you have two accounts? We don't want to stop you from double pledging, but just want to make sure you know? Lip Duck.
Stinklich.
Alan G. Jussum.
Generally depressing.
The Deadly Bulb.
Eldon Slink.
Yeah.
Ben Boha.
Tobias Clark.
Hey, Anthony, I'm glad you're doing better. Keep up the good work.
Good job, Anthony. Ryan Stewart, a.k.a. Revolver Smoke-A-Lot.
Andre Villanueva.
Jonas Evan Volson.
Calamity Carl.
Chirpcheese.
Estamena Lord of Balls Pants.
Nick Johnson.
The Davy Boy.
Kenny M.
Stephen Day.
Kieran McNamara.
Diet Soda. I think we got out of order somehow.
Ryan Carroll.
Jeremy Bowser.
Jackie Ledoux.
Coleman Laguza.
Lamb.
Megan McCormick Mason.
Ninja Breadman.
A Pair of Scots.
Levi Kidder.
Got little old moi pretty French.
David Gray.
Peanutberg, level 69.
Bryce Diuri.
Matthew Brettato.
Dr. Chocula.
Garbson.
I am Cornholio. I need TP for my bunghole.
Moon Juice.
Burger's lack of creativity this month. It happens to all of us, Burger.
I feel you, Burger.
We support you, Burger. Some of Chad's bird friends.
Nicholas Maloney.
Midwest Indigo 13.
Thomas Jancis.
SSJ Trogdor.
Aaron Lord.
Eric Horwitz.
Tiffany Lee.
Dr. Egg Drop Soup Man.
Dunnage Warehouse.
Lucretia McEvil.
She'll send you to the Elm Realm.
Damn! Your best friend's gonna be a mutant astronaut.
Henry Torbert.
Adam Knapp.
Mike Spaghetti Jones.
Logan Derby.
Brad Schmelzer.
Chick.
Milkpunk.
Mr. Misfire.
Chris.
Mandy Nasty.
Llama Lad.
Skulatoran.
David Lynch. XXX. Brendan Fraser. 666.
It can happen. Yoplin.
Philip Reynolds.
Soggy Newspapers.
Chris Kaluk.
Dakota Kemp.
John W.
Detroit Red.
Nathan Gurney.
R.R. Davis Crafts Ryanimator.
Sounds like a good beer.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, hopefully not an IPA though. I don't like this. IPA.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the.
I'll drink yours, Chad, if it's
Oh yeah, I'll give you my IPA, baby.
Thanks, buddy.
Scott Wable.
Kit Bush.
976 Evil.
Elden Lord and Queen Consort to Best Girl Rani, Dr. Mr. Unimportant. Great choice, Dr. Mr. Unimportant.
Agreed. Ronnie forever.
Ronnie forever, bring the moons or something.
Rocco.
Josh Howell.
Kiwi of Lerv.
Serial Killer X.
Ali Safe.
Liam Rogers.
Evan Bowen.
Zach Bentley.
Benjamin Luther.
Greg Musto.
Dennis Wright.
Hover the Moon.
Edgar's Crashes.
Cameron Gunzevald.
Vosivi.
Matt Septor.
Greg Gervasi, a.k.a. Vitizen, parentheses, close parentheses.
Dakota Kipper.
Hi, first time, long time.
Ali Rose.
Sprinkle Buns.
Only 2 of us monkeys have escaped the torture of Lord Kevin's grasp. The rest are doomed to write more Goosebumps, so-called... Oh my god. It's, I need to know how it ends. I need to know how it ends.
Wait. It goes on to the second line.
Oh my Kevin's charismatic, chaotic cock-a-doodle-doo. That was unheard of. Maybe it's another one. Who knows? What's happening? What's happening?
Kevin's just stunned by it.
Did I do something wrong?
I don't know. I mean, charismatic, chaotic, cock-a-doodle-doo sounds like a compliment. You ever see Rock-a-Doodle? That movie's great.
I'm so confused. And no, it's not, Chad. It's a terrible movie.
You're my Chanticleer, Kevin.
It's an adequate pipe.
What?
Anthony Rodriguez.
B.
Jeff Webb, who is this Patreon subscriber's fiance, is a big baby and is well aware this statement is being read from the book of names.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, congrats.
Congrats on being engaged and also for using the Patreon to shame each other. That's cool.
That's beautiful, I
Not
think.
shame each other. It's like whatever you guys kink is.
It's fun. It's a fun thing they're doing for each other. I love it.
Julius the Nice Dragon.
Disgraced former Reverend Odin's Eyehole MD. What'd you do, Eyehole? What'd you do wrong?
What'd you do right?
Toraku, the thing that goes doink in the anime. I remember when we said that. That was fun.
Yeah,
It's funny. It was a funny time.
that. I like remembering times when we were funny.
Yeah.
Like, we're funny now, but it's nice to remember other times when we were funny.
Yeah.
Hildeby.
Spencer Y.
Jonathan McCannich.
Ollie Sutz.
Kate the Great.
Mikert.
James Stavranos.
Oh, I got a little verklempt just to hear that name.
I thought about Greek yogurt.
Gelato Coon.
Pug Dad.
Papa Snack.
Cassandra Harris.
Gulliver.
And welcome to these new patrons with such horrifying and frightening names as Soap.
A melee player's worst nightmare. That's right, got him. Big Nick Lane.
And finally, Kira and Brian are big fans, and let's hope they do not get into a name war in our book of names like those other people did.
Thank you all for supporting. We love you.
You can use the book for whatever you want. You go ahead and fight.
Yeah, it's yours. You're paying
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.